Well, it's good to be back after a break. I know we're starting a little bit early, but I see a lot of people that are sitting and waiting for us to get started tonight. We've got a very exciting show coming up. Hey, it's the future. The future is now. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about as we experience some futuristic, modern, revolutionary rock from a band known as TheoTerran. And we are going to have them up, Monica and David, in just a few moments. And I love all the comments that are coming in and really appreciate it. Adam Andrew, thank you for joining us tonight. Mike Caruso, thank you for being online. And everybody else who's coming into the show. You know, talking about the future, when I was in kindergarten and first grade, they promised me a jetpack. I still don't have that, so I'm a little bit disappointed, but that disappointment has been kind of soothed a little bit with the kind of music that we are going to be having tonight from TheoTerran. And Mike, thank you. David's going to be with us in just a moment. This is an awesome start, and we'll be right back with Monica Soe and David Pataconi from TheoTerran. And there they are with me. We got David and Monica. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And if you are new to us, please go ahead and subscribe to us right here on YouTube. That's Lithos Cry. And by doing that, we all know how the game works. It helps the algorithm and helps get artists like this more recognition. And that's what I'm here to do tonight, is to serve these two wonderful artists who are doing a great work for the Lord. It's really exciting to have them on. I've been watching them for a while. It just takes some time for me to get people on here. So it's just really exciting to have you. I've had Monica on before, and we were just talking about that before the show when she had her solo project, and we did that interview during COVID, and we won't talk about that time because that was I had the vid at that time myself. But it's good to see you doing something different. David, you've had your own project on your own for several years now. How did the idea come about to join forces and create TheoTerran?
Well, that was I blame David for that one. That was his fault.
Well, my fault entirely. Yeah.
Yeah. He had me feature on a song, like, what was that, in 21? Yeah, that was in 20.
Yeah, 21.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He found me random and asked me to feature on a song called Captivate My Heart. And then in 22, the label flew me out to KCF to perform the song, and then everybody liked it, so we were kind of like, hey, let's do this again, let's do more. And it kind of became, we were like, well, let's just make our own project.
Yeah.
So that's kind of became what it is now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was the Kingdom Come Festival, right? Not Kentucky Fried Chicken that you...
Well, I mean, I guess both. Either way.
Yeah.
So you found her randomly on Facebook. How did you reach out to Monica? Were you just like, hey, I'm David? Did you know of David before this? How did this all work?
So I have a lot of people on Facebook and stuff like that. And then it, per the algorithm, it like suggests people and things like that. And she kept coming up. And I'm like, I've never met her in person, so I generally don't like send random people friend requests. But I had enough, so I finally just sent her a friend request. And I think we were friends for at least a little while.
Yeah.
And she had done some karaoke videos on there of Evanescence, and I was like, oh, she can sing. That's cool. So I was working on a song called Captivate My Heart, and I reached out to her like, hey, are you interested? And sent it to her, and she was, oh, this is great. So she ended up singing on it, and it became a hit. And so, yeah, we had got a Kingdom Come Festival in 22. We sang the song together. Had a lot of fun. It feels like I've known her forever. First time I ever met her, she did this. and she's like my little sister. We've been talking for a while and stuff. So that this is entirely 100% her fault. So it's a
Sorry.
TheoTerran thing, but it's her fault. So we're both Italian. It works. But yeah, so we had finished Kingdom Come Festival. We all went home and stuff like that. And I ended up, I had a song in progress. And I was like, hey, would you want to sing on this one? And so she really liked it. It's a little bit different than what I had done, obviously. And so we started working on that. That's a song called War Cry. And yeah, just kind of we worked on that. Then we worked on a few others and just kind of kept growing and growing and growing. And so, yeah.
That's exciting. And Mike Caruso is weighing in and says, hi, David.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Oh, he's not gonna say hi to me though. No, just kidding.
Yeah, he's doing this to you, not me. Yeah, I'm just in the background. Yeah.
Mike, thank you for joining the live stream tonight.
Yes,
it's a pleasure to have you on, and everybody that's joining. I love seeing those numbers go up by the eyeball up on the left-hand side of the screen. And hey, please share this out because we're going to get into some good music and get into some good conversation tonight. And I think we're going to dive into that right now because what were some of the confirmations that God gave you that this is what he wanted you to do? I mean, this was a big jump for two of you to do something different like this. How did you know that this was what was supposed to happen?
Well, I guess maybe it's just because we work really well together. I don't know. It's kind of like that. And I mean, we wrote, we kind of had the same, sorry, my brain's kind of like all over the place.
That's okay.
Had the same ideas as far as what we wanted TheoTerran to be about, and we were just, I guess we were just on the same had the same mindset for everything. And I mean, we wrote the album that's out now, we wrote it in like a few months.
Yeah, maybe like 6 or 8 months, if that. Yeah.
Or less than.
Or less than, yeah.
I mean, so everything just kind of, it just flows really, really well between us. So
you can tell when you listen to the music, it's just very well put together. It's tight and very well polished what you're doing. It's not like you're trying to make something work. It actually sounds like you've been doing this for quite some time. And hey,
Tricord, what's up, guys?
Tricord. He has been part of the Lithos Cry family for many years now, and he is sometimes my co-host.
Ooh, cool. Right on. Nice.
Yep. He's so excited to hear the interview. Jermaine, it's good to see you in 2024. And Monica, don't feel left out because Mike says, hey, Monica, as well.
Okay, I saw Mike not too long ago at the show, the Danger Room show. So I was just messing with him.
I have to ask this question from an artistic perspective because this is something that I've had to deal with because what I do here is this is art as well. A lot of times artists have a hard time, I would say, with change or the concept of change. And David, you had to change the way that you were doing things. Monica, you had to make some drastic changes to things that you were doing. And what would you do, or what would you say to artists who might be struggling with the idea of changing their art? I mean, it's a very personal thing when you're talking about art. How would you encourage such an artist?
I think if you're all on the same page, or at least communicate really well together and pray about it. I think with us, it was just kind of, and we already had worked on Captivate My Heart, but I think even with this new project, because the sound was different, but we wanted it to be different. We didn't want another David Pataconi clone or a CD clone or what have you. And I think part of it was like we were also trying to figure out our sound, but in the beginning, when we were doing this, it worked really well, and I think it flowed really well. We prayed about everything, like what to write lyrically and topics and things like that. So I think part of it is just be able to communicate with each other. If you have someone in the band that can't do that, it may bite you in the tushy later. or it might not. But I think it just keep the lines of communication open. Definitely pray together, especially as a Christian band. Keep God in the center of all of it. I mean, there's a reason that you come together and you're brought together and things like that. And I think keep that in mind, and let God kind of lead. Because that's the thing with our band is we pray about like what topics to write about, whether it's part of the lore or part of like personal testimonies or part of worship or whatever else. But that's kind of what I would think. I would say. What do you think, Monica?
Yeah, I agree to all of that. And also with changing and everything, it's they always say change is hard, but I don't think that that's necessarily true in cases where it comes to like art or like your sound, because sometimes I think that if you're trying to change your sound or whatever, it might just be something simple. It might just be easy. I mean, if it's easy, like how it's easy for David and I to write together, where everything just kind of falls into place, then I mean, it's not really anything to really be afraid of, because if your change is making things more fun, and you go from, yeah, this is all right, I like how I sound, but I wish this was different, and you change it into something that you're like, yeah, I get excited about this, I love listening to my music and whatnot, then yeah, I mean, then that would be, change can be easy in that kind of case, I think.
Yeah. What I'm hearing you say, Monica, is that change is a outward manifestation of growth in changing your sound and becoming more fun and developing what you're doing. And oh boy, the whole trichord family is here tonight. We got Charles Martin.
Hey,
He
all
says,
right,
change is good.
Charles.
It's real good. And he commented just a few minutes ago, oh, my people.
Ew. Nice.
And Jermaine says, love you, Glenn, Monica, and David. I love you guys too. Man, we got the whole family here tonight.
Yes.
That's the one thing I love about doing this is the connection that you make with everybody, and really when everybody has the same spirit indwelling them, and that's the spirit of Jesus Christ. It's like you get together. I've known Monica, David, this is the first time I've met you, but it feels like I've known you forever because it's the same spirit. And Jermaine's weighing in on the change. He says, I find change easy. I think in life you have to be adaptable, especially as a believer when truly following God.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would agree with that. God is not a static God. He is a moving God. He's got a plan, and it's going to come to pass. And either you can get on the bus, or the bus is going to leave you at the station. Is basically what it comes down to. If you don't move with that change, and I want to be where God is and what He's doing and what He wants me to do, and that really kind of ties into my next question: is when we embark on an assignment that God gives us, we grow in that process. A lot of times I've found myself when I start doing something new or different, I learn something new about Jesus, and my relationship with Him gets deeper and deeper. How, for each of you, has your relationship with Jesus grown since you've made these changes?
I'd say we've grown a lot. I know I have, because, well, I guess in my case, I've always liked metal music, but I went from it was really difficult to write, and I didn't really have the connection that I have with David. And so I went from struggling and everything being difficult, and me just saying, kind of like, all right, God, like, what is happening here? To now God has shown me just different things in life and with the music and everything. And I'm actually doing something that I enjoy. And I mean, I love doing TheoTerran. Just ask my husband. He's just like, man, you're always doing TheoTerran stuff. But I think that it's helped me grow spiritually, because it's like kind of like God has shown me. So last year at KCF was our first show ever. It was my first show ever, and it was our first set as TheoTerran. We did not know what to expect. And God literally filled the room and also gave us a merch line. So
Wow.
yeah, I was just like, oh my goodness. So I it's crazy because it's just like God just is showing, what he can do. And and that just, I think that kind of helps grow your faith too in him whenever you see the things that he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. David, how about for you?
I think part of it is with the music. I mean, it's as we go through it and as we're writing and involving God in the whole process. I mean, what I tell people all the time is it's his band. We're just part of it. We get to be part of it. We get to perform it, but it's his ideas and even things where it's beyond the music, where we have like the lore and the story that we're writing and just all the world building and things like that. That was all God's idea. And I will always give him credit for that, for everything we do. Like, it's not something I've ever done or even like crossed my mind. And it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of like, just a lot more creativity than just music. But, even in telling the story of the lore and everything, where it's all tied in with like biblical prophecy and things like that, but it's also packaged where like anyone can kind of hear it, and understand it and like enjoy it. But all those things, like the mark of the beast, the Antichrist, like all those things are like in there. They're just not like spoon fed and like, here, take this.
Right.
I think it leaves it open for just anyone, whether you're a Christian or not, to understand where, what's taking place and things like that. So I think we do tie in scripture with it. We do tie in with, even like I said, personal testimonies and things like that. But as far as growing, it's spiritually, I think that's part of it, is just because I've always involved God in my music and whatever I'm doing, but like having someone else in the band and other input, and then like, her husband and, even my family, and where it's all kind of like there's multiple people in there versus it just me doing my own thing. And I think it's helped see other things that God's doing in someone else's life and how that ties in, and with patience and new ideas and things like that. Because there's often times where we're going back and forth on lyrics or melodies, and it's like, oh, that sounds really cool, and then she's like, actually, I don't like it. I'm like, dang it. Um, but then, like, part of it also tied with the last question is like I think being willing to try something different, and that's something we learned from like our label, is just try ideas. If they work, great. If they don't, you don't have to keep them. You can just keep what you had and stuff. And I think part of the growth is also like learning to trust someone else, with something that's personal. Music, art, everything with art is personal. It's part of who you are. It's part of your story and things like that. And I think that's a big part of it, is just being able to trust someone else and like hear what God's doing through them and saying through them, and what's going on in their life. And then, like I said, like she said, like, standing back, on our first show, and like, like we didn't fill the room. God did that. It's like it's our first show. We're not even on like a main stage. We're not like, well announced or whatever. It's just, but people showed up, and, people heard what God wanted to share through us. There was, after the show, there was a girl that came up to us, and I don't remember all the details. Just she was going through a lot of things in her personal life, and just something Monica shared with it was one of the songs that she wrote. Is a worship song called Undefeated, and she shared part of her testimony. And this girl, she's probably, I think she's like, what, 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah, she was pretty young.
And yeah, she was young, but then she came up to Monica and us. She's like, man, like everything you said, like really hit home for me, and really like meant a lot to me. And we're just like, wow, God, like, like,
and that was at the first show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Keep going with the story, but yeah.
Yeah. So it was just, and we got to pray with her and minister with her, just talk with her and hear her story. And, that's the other thing, we like playing live. It's cool to play live, but it's really like kind of the before and after the show that means the most to us, where we get to talk with people and interact and fellowship, and they get to share their stories, we share ours, and it's just true fellowship, and whatever ministry God wants. And so we'll play in front of one person or 50,000. It doesn't, there's no difference for me. If there's always gonna be one person in the audience at least that God wants to share his heart with them, and that's why we do what we do. And I think even in that, that's even in our surrendering to that, that's helped us grow.
Yeah. A lot of comments coming in, and I want to hit on those. Jermaine, with what you were just saying, David, he said that's good. And I kind of want to expound upon that in a minute. And then Mike was actually at the first show. He says, you guys rocked the first show. And from what I'm hearing, I wish I was there to see that. And then the lore is perfect for those that don't want to hear the gospel or talk to about the Bible, but love fantasy. They can get the gospel another way. And then working in a band is challenging at times. Learning to work in unity with each other is only a God thing. Yeah, big time. The cool part about it all is hearing the product of multiple individual artists make one sound.
Yes.
God really moves upon that. That unity is something that's so precious to him. And that's why it says it's important for us to dwell in unity. Another comment says that's the greatest feeling ever. Nothing beats sharing testimonies through song.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. David, I really see your heart to minister to other people. And that's what I can gather is the reason why you do this. You want to reach out to people with the gospel, and it's perfectly okay to do it with the Lord, which we're going to talk about in just a few moments, because as the Lord is coming up with what you're doing and all the things around it, I keep thinking of C.S. Lewis and The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe and all of those things. That level of creativity, I think, unfortunately, kind of got lost in the Western church over some time, where it's just like, well, if it's not the black and white, this is the presentation on Sunday, then it's not legit and we're not going to do it. But that presentation, and if you take a look at scripture and you read it through fresh eyes, you want to talk about real fantasy. I mean, oh my, my. It just opens up things. And then Monica, since we talked the last time, your project with Aseity was very, very good, and I really enjoyed it. But what I'm seeing with you now is you're really just moving in the flow. You're right in that track, and it's all coming together. Everything that you did with Aseity was preparing you for this level. And now you're at a point with David where what you do, because he has made those connections to be able to minister to people, you're part of that flow now, which is so exciting to see that growth for you.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So proud.
I'd like to just hang out with you guys for like a week and just travel the road together and talk about music and talk about Jesus. And that's what we're doing tonight. So how have you grown as musicians? I know you kind of touched that, you touched upon that a little bit, but what's different about you now musically with your skill and your craft?
Go ahead, David.
I think at least for myself, and I mean, I started writing music in like 2009, I think, knowing absolutely nothing. And I've grown a lot just being able to do what I do. And I think part of it is also just, even back then, I didn't really know what my sound was going to be. I always had a beat or melody in my head, but I started out doing like, Christian EDM, and poorly. But I got signed to a label in Europe for a little bit, so I guess it was good enough. But I think part of it is I grew up listening to like, industrial bands and electronic rock and metal and things like that. And I think part of that is it kind of led me to that direction and I've always loved like 80s music because I grew up in there because I'm old. And but as far as growing as a musician, I think it's part of it's always I've always learned to like just try something, and if it works, cool. If it doesn't, move on. But I've challenged myself. Like I have three projects now, which one was enough, but now I'm just insane, I think. And they're all different. Like I purposely wanted them different. It's like TheoTerran is like futuristic science fiction, cyber rock, cyberpunk stuff. Pataconi can be really whatever I want it to be, but it's everywhere between like 80s synth kind of stuff, synth pop, and 90s industrial. And then the new project is basically just an instrumental, like dark cinematic music. So it would fit well in like film, TV, video game, whatever. But I think as far as growing a musician, part of that is my skill level and what I've been able to do, but it's also been able to work with other people like Monica, and getting feedback and things, and having an open mind to do different ways to do things. I think even on our first song, it was like how many choruses do we have, like revisions of that?
Which one?
We'll just start with War Cry. Yeah.
I think we only had like 3. Maybe, I think, because I think that's right. I think because we kept tweaking the lyrics a little bit. So yeah.
But there'd be like one where it's like, I really like it, and she's like, I don't know, let me think about it. And then she's like, let's try something different. I'm like, all right, so it's just, I think, but then it comes out afterwards like, dude, I'm so glad that I listened to her, and and even just like I said before, is involving God and the lyrics and everything else, musicianship and everything. Like, he's got some really good ideas. Like, he's the best musician ever. I pale in comparison to him. So,
yeah.
But
yep. How about for you, Monica? How have you grown musically in your skill in art?
I think a lot, in a lot of ways, because before, so when I did a deity, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of winging it, I guess. And, I was, as far as the vocals and lyrics and everything, I was just kind of doing that on my own. But I think it kind of prepared me. And then, as well as working with other musicians, like I did a song with my friend Orion, and he's been doing music for 15 years or so. And because he's in a what does he call it, deathcore band? I don't know. I'm not good with genres, but he kind of taught me how to make things flow, I guess, and especially like with the chorus and stuff. And so I think between doing a deity and then TheoTerran, it's like I've grown as far as being able to write lyrics and melodies and vocals and all that. There's still a lot that I'm working on, but I feel like I've come like a long way since I did a deity versus TheoTerran, because it's like almost like a night and day difference, and with the music. And even with, pretty much every TheoTerran song is catchy. and so I learned a lot, and between that time, and then also just I'm an introvert, but it's like at shows I'm not, because I know everybody, and the fans that are there, they're like they're the reason why we're doing TheoTerran. And TheoTerran, but between God and fans and friends, TheoTerran wouldn't really exist. So so between God and the friends and fans, it's like, okay, so I'm doing this for a purpose for everybody. And so I think I kind of come out of my shell, I guess, in those settings. So that's different. I've grown a lot there.
Thank you.
That's trichord music. Your music really does smack. That's what. And I have to read this and put this in context, because David, you and I are the old guys in the room here. We both grew up in the 80s and some part of the 70s for me. And Trichord Music says a collab album would be disgusting. Now, back in the day, that would have meant,
Right.
ew, we're not going to do that. But now that's like, oh, that is so totally cool. So words have changed around. I have some
Rad.
more ideas. Yeah, he says, I cannot wait to share the stage with you guys. Man, a collab album, that would be pretty cool. And then Mike says, not one bad song on the album. Seriously, not one. I want to let's get into the music a little bit because a lot of people are wanting to go there, and then we're going to talk about the lore because I'm really fascinated. I want to know the details behind it all. And as everybody knows, we cannot do a Raven's Heart where we have musical guests that we cannot not play a track. And the one is one that you have been talking about a little bit tonight. It's War Cry. Yeah, this a War Cry song.
Yes.
What is this song about before we feast our ears on it?
This is kind of like it's a war cry, right? So this is kind of like this is, I guess, the start of, yes, this is what we were born for. This is like the start of our rebellion against Union City Corporation. So, yeah, which is basically against the New World Order government thing. And basically, it's about the fact that we are on the winning side, So this is our war cry, and the enemy just trembles when they hear it, kind of thing.
What a perfect song for the times that we're living in right now. This is War Cry by TheoTerran, and we'll be back in just a moment.
By the word made flesh, we will win.
Wow. That is amazing. And I know Jermaine's probably looking forward to this because he knows how this goes. We have our studio mascot. Back in the day when Monica did it with the Theody, it was Mac the Metal Dog. He passed away not too long after that. But now we have Amy, our studio dog, and she's got her headphones on, and you get Amy's paw of approval tonight.
Nice.
Yes.
She does listen to the music. She comes in and listens to everything that we play here. So you get the paw of approval tonight. That is unreal. And I love the comments that are coming in, and we're going to talk about the lore. And I want to tie that in with the sound that you have, because you describe your sound as a revolutionary, futuristic, sci-fi rock sound. And as I listen to this one song in particular, it sounds like Doctor Who's TARDIS collided with Lacuna Coil's tour bus, and that's how we got the sound that you have here.
Love that. That's great. Oh man, the album's bigger on the inside, by the way. Yeah, when you buy it. Yeah.
When you walk in.
Yeah.
But what is the lore? What is TheoTerran? How does that tie into what's the story behind the story here? What is the lore?
Go ahead, David. And
okay, all right. I wasn't sure.
You're good. You're good. You're better at it than me. So.
Well, once upon a time, no. So we prayed about it, and like God gave us a lot of ideas with this, and it takes place in an alternate universe, alternate timeline. Same universe, alternate timeline. And so in 2020, this lab creates this thing called the upgrade. And so the upgrade basically is something you implant on your right hand or your forehead, and it'll basically give you like it'll be able to recode your DNA, and so you can become like immune to the common cold, the common flu, certain types of cancer, things like that, like right off the bat. So that's kind of the good news with the upgrade. And the CEO of the lab, Silas Altair of Altair Labs, works with Union City Corporation to basically get it distributed, and they distribute it for free as a humanitarian effort kind of thing, so to speak. And so with the promise of basically like better quality of life. And so they work with Union City Corporation to give this out for free around the world. And so one by one, like people are getting it all the time, and see all these benefits and things like that. And eventually, certain countries start giving their control of their government to Altair Labs or Union City Corporation, because the corporation can totally do the best thing for everybody as a humanitarian effort.
Yeah.
My character works in the lab. Monica and her husband are my sister and brother-in-law, and so I get wind. I overhear a conversation I'm not supposed to. I work in IT and I'm fixing something, and basically they're like talking amongst the elites of the lab and all that stuff, where they don't want people to uninstall it. And so they want to warn people, like, you might get sick or die if you try to uninstall this. They don't actually tell the public that they send I can't say it on here because I don't want to get flagged, but
as Doug Marquita says.
A hashtag command. So basically they, so I get one of that. I tell my sister and brother-in-law, and there's a handful of people at the lab that I work with that, I'm close with, and I let them know what's going on. And so one of the people at the lab that I work with knows of this city in Norway called TheoTerran. And it's basically like a standalone city. It's got it's off the grid, all their own resources, all that kind of stuff. And so we work with that city, go over there and start building basically a mountain on top of it. And it acts, feels, has all the vegetation, the climate, everything of a mountain in Norway. And so once that's complete, we all basically, the six of us from my work, and Eos and Halvor, her and her husband, we all flee to this mountain. And before I leave, I basically erase all data of GPS, photography, whatever, of this city before the mountain was on there, and replace it where that mountain always exists. So in that mountain, we basically build lots of different tunnels and things like that. So there's not one central point of, access, input or output. And so we basically try to we can go really wherever we want. Union City kind of knows kind of what we are. They're not really familiar. They call us Cyber Vikings as a derogatory term because of the way we dress. And it's more of our battle armor and things like that. But the gist of it is we try to get people to understand what the upgrade is. If they've got it, we want to be able to uninstall it. But it's kind of a tricky thing because it's on what's called the cell net, which is on a certain frequency. And so so you have to block that frequency in order to uninstall it so they can't send the hashtag command. And so then basically we figure out a way to we'll talk to people if they're interested in getting it uninstalled. We put them in a bath. We submerge them, if you will. Baptism. I mean, what do we call it? It's
we have it in our glossary.
It's in our lore. Yeah, it's our lore thing.
But also to add, the city of TheoTerra, it's kind of like our covert base operations where the rebellion headquarters and stuff is. So that's why it's that's why he hid it and everything.
Yeah. So like we figure out eventually that we can submerge them in this white liquid that basically blocks that frequency. So we just get it right out, and then there's no hashtag command. And so yeah, basically we start to evangelize. I mean, tell people about the upgrade and try to get them to not do that. And also with that is the CEO of the lab, Sal Saltaire, was on the board of directors for Union City Corporation, which is how he got tied in with that. Eventually, he becomes voted in as the CEO of Union City Corporation, basically becoming the ruler of the corporation, aka the One World Order, One World Government, whatever. And so there's also other factions that we haven't announced a whole lot. We have like in the glossary and things like that, but there's other factions of people that are trying to do the same thing. And eventually down the road, we'll meet them and work with them and basically trying to take back the world and get it, back to where it should be instead of a corporation running everything. So,
and we have taken the term Cyber Vikings that they used against us to basically say, okay, fine, we are Cyber Vikings, So the original leaders of the rebellion are the TheoTerrans, and then everybody else is that has become like that's now followed us part of the fighting and everything. There are Cyber Vikings. So
okay. Wow. Okay. We have a lot to talk about here. And I'm going to be very, very, very careful. And I'm going to start with Charles's comment as he's listening to this. Charles says, so I'm not the only one down the rabbit hole. No, nope. Charles, you're not. I understand everything that they're saying and can fill in the blanks as they're saying it. And I have to remind you, we are on YouTube, so we're going to be very, very careful. What a creative way to reach out to people today with the truth of the gospel and the way that the Bible has this all about, and we have a question, Ginger Giant, what is this about? We're not going to go into the details of that, but I think if you've paid any attention to the way the world is going, you might be able to see into it a little bit more. And I'd encourage you to follow TheoTerran so you can understand a little bit more. We're talking about the lore of the band and how they're using storytelling, not just music, but incorporating storytelling with it as well. And as I'm sitting here listening to this story, I'm like, oh, wow. This sounds a lot like seasons 10 and 11 of the X-Files, if you've ever watched those. So if you want to know what this is about, watch season 10 and 11 of the X-Files. Charles says, yeah, we're going to have some good conversations. I pledge as a Cyber Viking to stand for all that's right against everything that's wrong.
Hey. Yes.
Let me ask this question, not necessarily about the story, because I encourage people to do their own research into what's going on in the world and how this parallels that. I love it's a parallel timeline. That is so awesome how you do that. Have you thought about doing comic books, storybooks, short films? Okay.
Yes.
All of the above. Yeah, so even when we first started writing this, like we had this idea of once we have a completed story, and we also basically we ask our fans like if they want to get involved and write their own stories. Like everything we're writing is licensed under Creative Commons 4.0 CC, I think. So like you can create your own story either within our world or you can create your own standalone story. The only thing that's trademarked is the name TheoTerran. But everything else, basically, we have several people that are writing their own parallel stories, or they'll write it within the actual lore that we're creating as well. Like Mike Cruz is one of them, which is really cool, and something that we wanted all along. So we want to involve our fans and people that are interested to like be creative with us. This is your story too. It's not just something that we're creating, just like the gospel. You know, we all get to spread the gospel and things like that.
Yes.
And the other thing is we talked about initially, like we wanted, once we have kind of a completed story on our end, we want to have basically a comic book created. I have a friend of mine we have a mutual friend that's a comic book artist. And so we have like a quote for how much and things like that. We were going to eventually do like a crowdfunder kind of thing, where people can like have their characters in the story and then like help fund it. And then you could have something tangible, like an actual comic book of the story with your character that you create in there. And eventually, yes, a movie, absolutely, or a TV show. Maybe Netflix will pick it up or something. You know, that'd be cool.
Well, if Netflix picks it up, though, we've got to be heavily involved because you know how Netflix is.
Yeah. If you want our story, we tell it. We don't need additional things in there.
We don't. Yeah, there's certain things we don't need in there, but and I mean, we even like go as far as we want people to not only just write their own stories and characters, but also to wear their make costumes of their characters and wear them to our shows and stuff. So, I mean, I've seen part of Mike's costume, for example, and I'm really excited to see that done.
Yes.
So yeah, like it's pretty cool. So
that is so cool. And Jermaine says concept videos make this a show or concept videos for YouTube as well. I'll be the Raven. How about that? I'll be the crazy underground social media guy pumping out the tunes.
Yes,
the gospel in the
online radio, underground online radio. There you go.
Yeah, exactly, the Raven.
Oh, that would be so cool. We gotta talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about action figures?
That would be fun. Yeah.
They have to have movable arms and hands that do this, though.
Right.
Yeah, they need,
yes, they have to have that. Yeah.
We need the Play Arts Kai, like this one. like this Lara Croft, where you can like take the hands off and so then you can put a replaceable hand.
Oh, I love it. We got the costumes and oh wow. Okay, this is intense. How excited this is more than just about music.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Sounds good. Hey, we got Jake Adams that says the Raven could be the propaganda expert.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my husband.
Yes.
Yeah. He's in the background laughing.
Thank you, Jake. I like that. You're writing me into
over there in the corner.
Yeah, he's over there.
Yes.
There we go. That is so neat. Hey, we're getting some comments too from Halo Nerd. I'm not going to put those up because it's a separate topic. Halo Nerd, I'd like you to reach out to me at lithoscry, LITHOSCRY @gmail.com. And we can have some conversations online about the topics that you want to talk about. There's some stuff that we can't address tonight because it's not on topic, and other things that are sensitive. So we can talk offline. Email me at lithoscry, LITHOSCRY @gmail.com. And this is the Raven, the underground propaganda expert.
Yes.
The
voice for radio and everything. Yeah, I love it.
That's right. The spin doctor here.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, this is so much that you've done. You've written an entire parallel universe. you're writing music, you've got costumes, the ideas, the level of it's like a explosion of creativity. What's been the most difficult obstacle you guys have had to overcome in getting this project off the ground with all these different elements?
I think getting people to kind of I latch on to the idea that it's more than just a band. So because we're not doing the typical band thing, I think it's harder for us to get that out there. So we're just trying to just finding ways of, how do we market this? How do we get people involved? How do we spread the word, and show that it's not really just the music, it's more, I think that's probably the most difficult part.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd
it's
agree.
a lot that's going on. Go ahead, David.
No, so I agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah, that's been the hardest part, where I think because we're doing something quite unique, I don't know if there's been other bands that have had like lore and things like that, but I think with ours, it's because we're also involving, fans or even people just that want to be involved, that, maybe they're not in the music or not, but like we want to invite everyone to write with us and help create this. But it's not like a typical thing that most bands do. So, most people, they hear a song, or they hear, especially like the playlist generation, where it's just, they'll have Spotify in the background. They're not even listening to it. It's just kind of some noise in the background, where, like when you and I were younger, it's like, when you knew an album was coming out, and you and your friends like anticipating it, then at least one of you gets the album, then you all basically would just hang out together and just listen to the album, like consume it as a whole. And that those days are, I mean, thankfully my kids are, they love CDs, they love albums, they're into that kind of stuff, and we've been able to teach them that the beauty of that, versus like, oh, I'll listen to this song, or it's just in the playlist, and it's just white noise in the background. They appreciate it more, and they'll even like open up the linear notes and all that stuff and read the lyrics, and it's just like, it just warms my heart.
Yeah, it's going back to
So
the way it was in the good old days. Yes. Yes.
There's that smell of the new print of, there's a lot to it. Can't get that on Spotify.
No, you can't. And the smell of the vinyl.
Yep.
The good stuff. Yes. The things that I really enjoy, the finer things in life.
Yes.
What you're doing is a lot of work for just background noise, for somebody just having something on while they're in the office. That's what they created Muzak for. That's what the Muzak system.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
This is not Muzak. David, I wanted to ask, because this is synth rock. I mean, it's very synth rock oriented, and you've been known for your synthesizer work for the past several years. How did you discover that this was the mode of expression for you, the genre that fits you the most?
A lot of trial and error, and a lot of failure, and not giving up is the easiest way I can say it. I like I said, when I first started doing music as like a little more than a hobby, I was trying to do EDM and my own version of that, if you will. But I always kind of incorporated guitars in it, or other synthesizers or things like it. I love blending the organic and the synthetic together, and I think it's just there's a way it works. It's not your typical rock band or typical metal or whatever. I think just adding other elements that people don't necessarily expect, but it's things that I enjoy. Like, I'm not going to release anything I don't like, or I don't enjoy. And even with the dad jokes and stuff that people know me for, it's like I read through tons of these things. If it doesn't make me laugh, I'm not going to repeat it. So, but yeah, I think it's, if anyone's trying to figure out their sound, or they're starting a band or whatever, like, honestly, just try a lot of ideas, see what you like. It doesn't, I mean, you maybe surprised, and yeah, just trial and error, and don't give up. There's been countless times I'm like, you know what, I'm done with music. And one of my friends years ago had asked me, he's like, why are you doing music? And I was like, well, I want to reach people, and have them get something out of it, you know. And he said, then quit. I'm like, okay. He's like, look, people will always have their own expectations. They will always fail you, just like you'll fail anyone else. If you're doing it for people, like there's no reason for it. Like just quit. And I had to go back and like evaluate, like, why am I actually doing this? You know, if it's for the, you know, for someone, even though it's a good, you know, a good thing to make music, you know, that people enjoy, like that can't be my why. My why is basically like, I want to glorify God. I want him to use it to his fullest extent. And I won't write anything or release anything that won't glorify him. But I'm also open to, like I said, I mean, even though this is like story driven, it's also like still truth in there, still the gospel in there, and biblical aspects to it. But you know, I could write songs on Pataconi that are just straight up worship songs, and then there's songs that are literally just a science fiction story short story that came up in my head, you know. But at the same time, it's, you know, it's one of those things where I just keep trying, keep going for whatever you like, you know, and probably more than likely you'll create something that probably hasn't been done before, or at least it's unique enough where, you know, in my case, it's synthesizers mixed with guitars and everything else. Not that that hasn't been done before, but it's just the way that I read it. And I like I said before, I love, you know, 80s bands like Duran Duran and Depeche Mode, and I love, you know, other bands from the, you know, like 90s industrial, and but I love all kinds of music. So it's like I'll incorporate things that you wouldn't think would fit, you know.
Yes.
So you know.
Let me guess too. You enjoyed Howard Jones in the 80s as well. Do you remember Howard Jones? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember seeing him on American Bandstand. Oh boy, I'm really dating myself right now. He showed up on American Bandstand.
I probably watched the same episode. Yeah.
He was standing there in the middle of that entire bank of synthesizers. I was like, that is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Right. Yes.
I want that. I told my parents, that's what I want. You know what? I got a Casio keyboard that played the samba.
I mean, you got to start somewhere, you know?
Yeah, you do. You do. So I kind of put that dream aside, and now we're on this side. And going back to the vinyl and the old days of, Howard Jones.
Yes.
Jermaine, I'm not surprised. Yes, exactly. You're dude right there.
Brother, hey.
Hey.
We got a comment that we forgot the cassette tapes back in the day as well. Oh my.
and number 2 pencils. That's important.
Yes.
Yeah, the pencils.
Yep.
And
if you had cassettes, you had to have a pencil to get it back in there again. Oh boy, yeah. They did not sound good though. That was the worst sounding medium. They were nice.
That hasn't made a comeback.
Yeah, they have made that. Yeah, there are some bands issuing stuff on cassette just for the fun of it. And I do have a dual cassette player over on the stereo rack on the other side.
I have one right over here.
Yep. I do have some older cassette
and vinyl.
And I'm like, I'll listen to them and be like, that is just not doing it for me.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It is. Wow. David, you brought it up. Dad jokes. I mean, I've been watching you do those reels, and those have been fun to watch.
She's already shaking her head.
We need a good dad joke tonight.
All right. What do you call a line of people lifting mozzarella? A cheesy pickup line.
No.
What did the sushi say to the bee? Wasabi.
See, I just roll my eyes at this point.
Yeah.
Jake's laughing.
What do you call a pile of cats? A meowton.
Wow. Wow.
And this is where Little Scry lost a lot of followers. Yeah, sorry. Or gain more. I don't know.
Bye. Click.
And I'm out. Yeah.
And
hey, the Ginger Giant wants to know, David, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
That made my evening a little bit more levity this evening. And we got it all. We got creative storytelling. We got great music. We got comedy. And this is the all-in-one package.
Yes.
The Ginger Giant wants to know, is TheoTerran on YouTube, and do you have a channel?
Yes.
On YouTube.
So if you go to youtube.com and just search for TheoTerran, it's just at TheoTerran. I think you actually might put the link down below there for you. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely worth following. And if you like the track that we featured tonight, you're going to like every other track that they have as well. They are all just as good. When I first heard Warcry, I was previewing it as I was driving. I forget where I was driving to. I was driving to the gym is where I was going. And I was getting pumped up. I was like, yeah, this is good stuff. I really like this. Get you in the mode. Had a great workout afterwards too. So if you're looking for some new good workout music, this is some really good music here. And as I was preparing for this edition, I was thinking to myself, and this is one of the first times I've thought this. It's not something that I say to everybody. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when people are talking about Christian rock and Christian music, they're going to be talking about your band. They're going to be talking about TheoTerran. They're going to be, like we talk about from like the 80s and the 90s, we talk about, oh yeah, remember DC Talk, remember Petrus, Striper, Bloodgood, White Cross, all those bands. But you guys are paving the future, and this is what people are going to be talking about 20 to 30 years from now. And it's really exciting to be a part of what you're doing and being able to serve you tonight on this live stream.
Thank you so much. Praise Jesus.
You. Yes.
Absolutely. Before we close tonight, I want to ask this. What you do is so unique. And we know that music is a language. And different genres of music are like a different form of language to different people. Who have you been finding that responds the most to what you're doing? What type of person does what you're doing resonate with? Have you really kind of seen that or been able to gauge that at all?
I feel like it's kind of a mix, because it's a mixture between just people that like rock music or they like synth music or whatever. And they people that love Jesus, and I think it's also people that, well, at least my hope is that it's people that feel drawn to it because of the community that we've kind of created.
Yeah.
So I hope that's, No,
that's
all. Those are all good answers. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part for us is we also wanted to create a community, and it's kind of like anyone's invited. You don't have to look or act or whatever. Like you don't have to be a certain age group. And that's what I love about music is it transcends generations, it transcends races, it transcends every aspect of humanity, where anyone can listen to it and enjoy it. And there's not like you don't have a cookie cutter TheoTerran fan or whatever.
Right.
And I think with what we've seen is, we've had, when we went to Audio Feed last year, that's our second show. And there was a little girl. She was probably maybe like 9 years old, 8, something like that.
She was younger. I
Yeah,
think
she was really young.
7 or 8. Yeah. So we have like 7, 8-year-olds, and then we've got 60-year-olds. So
plus
that are listening to us. So yeah.
We've got I just noticed here that Charles Martin, the comments, thank you everybody for the comments this evening. I have to go back to this. Charles is trying out the dad jokes as well tonight.
Oh man.
So those that are listening, don't look at the screen. What do you feed a teddy bear? Monica, you can answer that by reading the bottom.
What do you feed a teddy bear? Nothing. He's already stuffed.
Yes. Yes.
I pulled
that you did the head turn. Yeah.
Yeah. I did the Pataconi.
Yeah, the Pataconi head turn is like.
Oh, hi there.
Teddy bear. Oh, hi there. Didn't see there. Wow.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Thank
you so much. Hey, and I really want to appreciate everybody who's joining us for the first time tonight. That's watching. Go ahead and let me get the comments off here. Go ahead and subscribe to us right here on YouTube. Boy, I just can't get rid of that dad joke there. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the bell. That helps the algorithm. We know the way that works and helps us to better serve artists like David and Monica with TheoTerran and helping to get their story and their music out. This is more than just about the music. We're here tonight, and I'd like to thank Anuki, who I will not have the time to put up on the screen tonight, but thank you for reminding us that it is about Jesus, that all of this is about Jesus Christ, and that every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. But it's so important right now that you respond to Holy Spirit and confess Jesus as Lord and believe upon him, because that is the only way of salvation. That's what this is about. That's why Monica and David are doing what they're doing. It's so that Jesus may be glorified and so that men will be saved. And that's why we do what we do here at Lithos Cry. And there's a lot of people that had a lot of questions about a lot of other things. I just wanted to stay on topic tonight because we've got a short amount of time to do this in. But if you've got those questions, definitely, I'd like to talk to you more. You can reach out to me personally at lithoscry. That's LITHOSCRY @gmail.com. You can check us out. Check out our website at lithoscry.com too. We are here for you. This is a ministry. That's what this is about. And we're here to serve you who are in our audience. David and Monica, anything else you'd like to share this evening before we close out?
Honestly, and I'll just go back to the whole, like you were saying, the whole reason we do this, and it's for the glory of Jesus Christ. It's for people to know who he is. In a nutshell, we were all sinners. We all have broken God's laws. We've broken his commands. We've hurt others. We've hurt ourselves, which breaks God's heart. And we couldn't fix it ourselves. We can never be good enough or do anything that would impress him enough to be like, hey, you're in, and the beauty is God chose to come down on his own to live a perfect life, to teach us how to live. And also he died on our behalf, came back to life to get power over death, hell, and the grave, and enabled us to have a relationship with him. The one thing that's been constant in my life is God. I've done some terrible things in my life. I've done some not so terrible things, and I've done everything in between. And I have a God who genuinely loves me. He likes me. He loves you. He likes you as well. And he wants to have a relationship with us. That's the best thing we can have in this life, and also after we die. And so it's not that just you get God in heaven later on, it's you get to have a relationship with him now. And so if you're tuning in now, if you tune in sometime in the future, whatever that is, like honestly, like really reach out to God. It says that if you seek him, you'll find him. He's not hard to find. And you can look in the Bible, start with John, just start somewhere, and read about Jesus and who he is. He's a real person. He's not some made up figure of someone's imagination. And he genuinely loves you. He genuinely wants to have a relationship with you. And it's just submitting to him. It's, saying that he's Lord and Savior. Believe in your heart and confess in your mouth that he is Lord, and you'll be saved.
Yes.
And that's why we do what we do. This is who we serve. TheoTerran wouldn't exist. I'd be gone a long time ago if it wasn't for God.
Same.
So our war cry is really for you to know him. And if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out. We're not hard to get a hold of either. You can reach out to us on social media, whatever. We'd love to have a conversation with you. We'd love to talk to you. Love to share with you and help you understand any of that kind of stuff. And then also there's lots of churches around everywhere, and I'm sure you probably know people who are Christians, and you can ask them, what is this thing about? But key thing is just start searching. If you do know God, you know what I'm talking about. You can't go back, because it's the most beautiful, wonderful relationship you'll have in this life ever. And God will literally change your life. He'll change you for the better. He doesn't expect you to be perfect. You don't have to be good enough before you can come to him. You can come to him as you are. There's no like, okay, well, I got to do this, this, and this. God's like, no, today's the day of salvation. So just want to encourage you guys with that. That's why we do what we do. And I'm sure Glenn's the same way. I know Monica's the same way. Like,
yeah,
that's who we serve. We serve a wonderful, loving, caring God who cares about people, who loves people. And he wants to have a relationship with you. And it just starts with surrender. It just starts with saying, God, I messed up. I sinned. I messed up. I broke your law. And I know you can forgive me. I know you've already paid the price. And so I surrender to that. I agree with you on that. And I want to have a relationship with you starting right now. In the name of Jesus.
Amen. And that can happen for some of our viewers and those that are in our audience right now. If anything that David just shared with you just kind of hit your heart, and you're like, oh, that's me. I'm the man, or I'm the woman. God, you're speaking to me. Today's the day you can ask Jesus to save you right now. It's just that simple. It just says in Romans 10:9, if you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, he will save you. It's that the gospel is that simple. Wow.
Yeah.
And David, you just put it so clearly. We've tried to make it into something that is so complex with all these things that you do and you don't do. No man can uphold the law, the whole law. It's impossible. And it says in the book of James that if you break one commandment, you've broken them all. You're guilty of breaking them all. It's because it's not just a list of rules that you're breaking. The law, the 10 commandments, they represent God's holiness. That's the best picture that we have to even comprehend. All those things that he tells us not to do, those are things that he just in his nature cannot do. And we're so opposite of that. But because of Jesus's blood, we can be saved. We can be washed of our sins. And he won't see ever again the things that you've done that you're ashamed of. He'll wash those away and he'll see you as a brand new person. And that's what salvation is. And there's so many people asking for wanting salvation, wanting things to change. And they keep trying to do it by themselves. This is my word for those that have been trying to do it by yourselves, but you find yourself, it's just not working. It's not going to work. Just surrender. Just surrender to Jesus. Just give it to him and he will save you. He will set you free. We're not talking about religion. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about relationship. And David and Monica, thank you so much for sharing this evening tonight. What a great way to start the 8th season of Raven's Heart and like our 6th year. This is our 6th year of broadcasting. So, wow really exciting. Thank you so much. And everybody, until next week, we will be back next week. Peace out and rock on. And David and Monica, if you could just hold on the line for me, we'll be back. I'll be back with you guys in a moment.
lithoscry.com